This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Welcome back to the Okayest Hunter podcast. We are spread apart. Well, that sounded weird. We're not in the studio together tonight. I'm not with it tonight. I'm operating at like 60% capacity. I'm not even trying to be weird. This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. I'm in Oconomowoc. Derek's in West Bend. Greg's in Lake Mills. I don't have any energy. I actually probably shouldn't be drinking this bourbon at all. It can't be good for my stomach considering what I just went through the last day. But I thought it's tradition. I have to. I'm going to see if I have to turn my camera off and run away, you guys will know what's happening.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off for you.
F&A, Cotton. F&A. Oh, boy. Well, shout out to our partners, Greg Cubs. We got to figure it out.
Of it.
There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way.
Serious, I don't know what to tell you. It's not working.
I know what it is. So on your mixer, one of the ones has a USB symbol next to it. You got to turn that all the way down. It's your incoming from your computer.
Oh, yeah. It definitely is. Then I turned you down on top of it.
Can you hear me now?
Barely, but I can hear you just enough.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure how to fix your problem over there. I'm sorry. Welcome to the show. This is going to be a weird episode because I'm coming off of a stomach bug that just wrecked me. I mean, literally on the toilet, coming at one end and a bucket in my hand for the other end. And it wasn't a great evening. And then I woke up dehydrated and completely depleted. So I don't have a good topic for tonight. I put a post out saying, go ahead and call us. I think some calls would be a great way to have a show tonight. So if you're around and you're listening and you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or IG or wherever, there should be a phone number on the screen. I'll put a ticker on the bottom so y'all can just call into the show.
Tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah. Tell us what y'all have been up to. Have you been finding sheds? Where have you been finding them? Like, maybe not specifically, but what county? Or are they still holding? Or what have you? And are you getting your bow ready to go? Like, I'm chomping at the bit to get mine all set up. Derek, you're working on getting one set up to go on a hog hunt. Greg, you're waiting on a bow. Like, we're all kind of at a similar stage here. What are you sniffing over there, Derek?
I found these. My son was playing with some spent turkey shells, and I just wanted to see if they still had that early morning, right off the roost, kill the turkey smell, and they do.
Oh, yes. The smell of burnt gunpowder in the morning.
Nice. Nice.
Wonderful odor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The turkey videos went out on our old YouTube and Carbon TV. The turkey hunting extravaganza with Greg and Matt's unreliable guide service.
And Eric smashing his first turkey. Woo!
It was pretty neat.
In the face.
Right in the face. And then Eric's like, yeah, I got a turkey.
I didn't know what to do.
I remember talking to you on the phone. I think I was shed hunting for moose. And you called and you're like, yeah, I got one. And I was like, oh yeah? You're like, yep. Shot in the face.
that was it. Yeah.
You're like, I don't know how to feel about this.
Everyone's like, oh, are you so jacked? You got a turkey, man. Like, are you in now forever? I was like, I mean, I don't know. It's turkey. It's cool. But, you catch me catching a whitetail and it's a totally different, like, I'm like the little girl that had too much candy in that meme where she's like, ooh, had all like cotton candy. Yeah, totally different vibe. Okay, sorry, housekeeping things. YouTube stuff is out. Yay, watch a turkey video. We're going to be at the Wisconsin Dells Open Season Sportsman's Show, March 22nd to the 24th. We're in the big room in the corner. I forget the booth number off the top of my head. I think it's something in the 1800 maybe. I can't remember. right now. And then also we're running a contest for another 2 days. It's going to end on the 14th of March with Shed Season and Rack Hub. We're giving away $500 worth of stuff from all three brands combined. All you got to do is, if you have a post you want to put up onto Instagram or Facebook, just use the hashtag Okayest Shed, and you will be entered in for a drawing to win that $500 grand total prize. And I think that's the housekeeping items I have for now. Oh, we launched another podcast on the network today.
Woo!
Yeah, this morning. Okayest Cook is live. We're waiting on our cover art to be updated. But for now, you can go listen to EP1. It's the first episode about like the intro to those guys and what they're up to and stuff. So it's a delightful listen. If you have the time or wherewithal to go check it out, it's on the Okayest Podcast Network. So if you're listening to one show, if you're on Spotify or Apple, you can click the network and you can see all the shows. There are now 9 of them with the 10th on deck. So it continues to grow, which is flabbergasting to me that people want to join our tribe of okayestness. Anywho, Greg, can you hear us?
Yep.
Yep. I wasn't sure because you turned the volume down. I wasn't sure how you're doing over there.
Yeah, I'm trying to
You
get
look
rid
very
of now. Not only do I have my wife messaging me, I have people from work messaging me about what meets certain certifications. It's a wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful thing. Derek, for the turkeys, are you doing the whole thing where you drive to work every day and you're just looking and going, I'm going to knock on that guy's door. I'm going to knock on that guy's door. Or how do you, like when I went with Greg and Matt, they just did all the work for me. Greg got the spot security, set up the ground blind, which was like a brush ground blind. It wasn't like a pop-up tent. It was like a legit spot he had made up in the corner of this field. Matt did all the calling. It was flawless. The whole situation worked out amazing. If I were up to my own devices and I was just going to go turkey hunting, in turkey season, I wouldn't have the first clue where to go or how to go about it. Like scouting for turkey just seems like a weird concept to me because I've never really tried to look for turkey sign. And if I found it, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I wouldn't know what it is telling me.
It helps to have Okayest friends, I guess. I just got to get Greg to set me up on one of those birds he's got pinned down over by him.
I tell you what, I've been knocking on doors as we all have. I mean, Eric obviously doesn't have that amount of experience with it, but turkeys are a lot easier to get. What's up with my volume? Is it too loud?
No, you sound good.
Oh, was it good for you? Okay. Well, sorry. It sounded like it shot up again. My bad.
Well, is that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Turkeys are a lot easier to get permission for. Like some farmers want to see as many shot as possible, so it's easy enough to get permission to go knock on doors. I mean, if you find yourself a people person, for my career, I deal with people day in and day out, so I know how to approach people. Derek, you're a teacher, you know how to deal with kids and their parents. So yeah, for better or worse, it's a skill set that you have acquired. But being confident and going up and knocking on doors, I mean, you'd be surprised. Like you can have a feeling, and most of the time your feeling is correct, that people are probably, you're just going to go up to this place and yeah, there's just no way. I just sense it. You could just sense it in their demeanor as soon as you see them. But I think there's some things that you can do to help your situation. When I see people, like when I was training guys in the field, to go up to a customer's door, you knock on their door, you back up and you give them space. You don't sit in front of the door. You don't hide behind, part of the door or the doorway. You go right in front of a window, but back up so they can see you when they come to their door. Just give them some distance, give them 5-6 feet. And, if they got a short porch or whatever, go down to the bottom step of the porch so you're not like right up in their personal business. I think that helps if you do end up getting somebody there at their house. And just be polite. You don't have to be like super direct. You can make some small talk with them. That usually is helpful. But some people want to know, why are you here?
What should you be wearing? What should you be wearing when you do this?
Preferably not camo clothing and looking like a slob. I mean, it's sometimes you're out and you just catch them when you catch them, and if you come up with camo clothing on, I think they pretty much know what you're up to, and some may or may not appreciate that. Everybody's got their tricks, but I think just
But
the fact.
everyone knows Greg Tubbs and Greg Tubbs' area of the geo where he plays around. Like,
I've
I
been
know
in
this farmer, I know that farmer. Oh, this farmer's gonna let me do this. That farmer's let me do that. Like people know who you are a little bit. Not to say you're famous, but like
going.
you're a member of your community. You know,
Yeah,
you
you be involved with your community, whether it's going to church. I mean, we try to go to church every so often, so we know people there. Friends of friends. Like, if you get invited to a get together and you don't think you're going to know many people, so you think, well, maybe I shouldn't go. Go anyway. You might make new friends. And you might, get new opportunities to go do things. Yeah. But just be confident. Be forthright in your intentions. I think that's a lot of it. And they'll have questions for you, and just answer them honestly.
Greg's got way more experience with door knocking than I do. I've asked just a couple of times and lucky enough to get a yes, maybe once or twice out of those. But as far as scouting and looking for turkeys, I've already altered my route that I drive to work, and I'm trying different routes and driving past public pieces and looking for birds roosted up in the trees. I got to leave early enough where it's still before they're flying down, but I'm looking for silhouettes in trees and trying to see where the flock is at, and they're definitely still, wintered up in their big flocks and whatnot. So I haven't seen a ton of birds all over yet, but I'm looking.
You drew one of the designs for the new hats that's going to be dropping at the trade show, and the hat's called. It says flocked up. So is flocked up a term? Like that's like right now where they're flocked up and then they eventually separate, much like bucks are in bachelor groups and they separate. Is it like, dude, you gotta, I know nothing. I was so lucky to get a turkey last year because that was a guided hunt. I mean, I didn't have to pay for it, but it was a fully guided hunt. They even helped me cut the thing up if you watch the video. So like, I'm really curious to like, I would like to learn how to do it solo and figure it out and not be completely bewildered by like what I'm doing. If I'm on a public property, you say words like flocked up. I'm just trying to like break it down even more so into like some of the more basic rudimentary aspects of turkey hunting. I don't know. I think what, Greg, I was talking to you on the phone the other day. I was driving past the field. I think I saw 20 turkeys or something. I was like, that seems not normal. There's not normally.
Oh yeah, they're going to be that way. They'll be that way till the first season. Like the period A, they'll still be somewhat flocked up in it, but you'll get the younger birds that have been pushed off. Whether it's the 2-year-olds or the jakes, even those birds are already been kicked out of the flock, and they're kind of off on their own.
So they get kicked out of the flock. Is it like it's like a pecking order, right?
It's definitely a pecking order.
But then you got the jakes that beat up the toms if they get killed, right? That's like a thing. They come and ghetto stomp them.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because like over the winter and even right now, like I'm seeing groups of toms, male turkeys all together. So like right now you got like your bachelor groups, kind of like where you're relating it to deer. Like the toms will all be hanging out together. I've seen groups of 10, 12, 15 male turkeys, some of them jakes, but the toms really kind of stick together. And then you've got all the hen groups, big flocks of hens. And then I feel like as we approach season and that breeding season starts knocking on the door, the temperatures are getting a little bit warmer. Those hens may be warming up to the idea of breeding. All of a sudden, those male turkeys start spending more time around the whole flock. So like when I think flocked up, it's like when those turkeys are kind of starting to come together. And when you see males with the females all in a big group, that's what I would consider kind of like flocked up. Now they're all together. Those toms are going to pester them until they're ready. And then that's when it gets, challenging to call turkeys because they just want to be in their big group and they want to travel together for at least the first chunk of the morning where they just want to be together in one big flock. And that's where if you're in the right spot in the early season, period A, period B, it can be fantastic, and you can have turkeys
Pick up
everywhere.
better. Interesting.
But if you're trying to call a turkey away from the group, it can be really challenging to do because they don't want to leave. They're not out looking. They know where all the turkeys are, and they're just going to follow along and play that game the whole time.
Yep. And to add to your point, when I was out walking around looking for sheds and found that deadhead, the end of that woods, turkeys historically are always roosted in this piece. They may not be there during the wintertime much, but come spring, there's always a group in there, and we blew them out. I heard them breaking branches, and I looked, and sure enough, there was at least 4 that flew out that I saw that flew out over the grass, and then I heard more noise a little bit further away, and I think another 1 or 2 were out in front of us. Well, when we got to the very end of that piece, just sitting there, and it whittled down to a fence line, and all of a sudden I heard grass moving around, and out pops a lone tom, big red head, climbs to the top of the hill, and quickly looks back and grabs his wings and flies. So yeah, it was all toms. There's probably 6 or 7 of them in that group. Where the hens were, I'm not sure, but
I haven't really seen any toms with, like I haven't seen the big groups yet, like the big flocks of male and females. I've seen them in the same fields, but they've still kind of like doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're still doing their thing. Like the Jakes and Toms are over here, and the hens there's a few hens over there. The 3 fields that I pass on the way to and from work, that's what it's been. They're kind of segregated. That the groups of toms aren't far away, and I think as soon as we get some warmer weather and we got the daylight change that happened already, I think that's what kind of spurs that on.
Greg, are you running any trail cams or cell cams to locate birds?
No, I honestly, it has no value to me to run cameras other than, they make cool pictures sometimes, but to find birds, I know right now where birds are leaving scat, like that piece of woods that we went and busted a few out. Like there's feathers and scat all over the place. There's evidence of them scratching through the leaves. They leave. It looks like a deer left a scrape, but it's not raked down that bad.
You know the area that you're hunting though, because you do get some good access where you're at, and you're really familiar. And it's kind of like they probably do similar things year in and year out. Derek, were you scouting for different properties to and from work? You got a hefty drive, like was it an hour-long commute?
To work, it's only like 35 minutes, but now on my way back from work, I'm going to pick up my daughter, who's 45 minutes north, and then my son, who's another 15 minutes back the other way. I'm passing lots and lots of ground.
So if you get on a property, are you going to put any cams out to get yourself some intel, or are you just kind of like, no, I know they're going to be in these trees roosting. I know how to set up on that, or what are you thinking?
I've got a pretty decent idea on the public piece that I'll probably hunt first season. If birds start showing up, I got a pretty good idea now where they're going to be at. There's another area on the public that's quarter mile away that I'll probably throw some cameras out, just because with me being able to hunt just like an hour before and then after my kids and my wife get home, like I've got like an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening. So knowing exactly where that roost is and when they're kind of coming through there is really beneficial for me. Like if I can't drive around and see it, just getting a load of pictures. Oh, they're back in here at 5:30 every afternoon. That's great information to know. If I wasn't just hunting mornings and evenings and I had, more time in the midday, and maybe Greg's tried this before, but a tactic that I've always wanted to use early season is busting the flock. So a lot of guys, once those turkeys get in the timber, it doesn't work as good when they're in the fields, but when they're flocked up and they're all grouped together, you just go bust them. Like don't try sneaking, don't try calling, just go right in the middle, run at them, bust them up, and then just plop down and make a couple putts in like 20 minutes. Just make a couple like locating calls when they start coming back together. Greg's got something. He's killed one.
I was just going to say, in Okayest hunter fashion, I've done that unintentionally with the hopes of getting into the group and blasting a bird. I let them make the putts, and then they all scattered to the to the 4 corners of the property. And then I usually don't see one the next day because I'm limited to that piece of property. It's a small piece. But then the day after that, not to say I couldn't have seen something if I would have maybe moved to a different part of the property, but it was pretty small as one field with one line of timber, and the birds just had moved out of there. And then the following day, I had birds come back, and birds came back. If you're limited to one piece of property and they're giving you fits and you can't seem to make it happen, get aggressive, you bust them out, like you said, and give it a day or so to cool off and slide right back in there in the dark in the morning if you can. And then pretty good chance you'll be able to get in where you need to go.
Oh yeah, and I've heard of guys not even, not in a day, but in the same sit. Like if it's a big group and you bust them and they go off in different directions, they're gonna come back looking for the flock. If three go
Sure.
that way, four go this way. So I've heard of guys busting them intentionally, and then you just sit down and sit quiet for 30 minutes, and then just a couple soft calls here and there, like turkey looking for another turkey. And
Yep.
I've heard of a lot of guys having success just sitting there and letting them try to find each other again.
What was the website you said you've gone to? Turkey looking for another turkey.com. How did that go for you?
Turkey Mingler? No, I don't know. Show me your drumsticks. What?
We got a caller. Looks like we got Calder on the line. You're live on the show, Calder. See you in the comments. Thanks for tuning in and calling. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Good, man.
Doing okay.
Good. Can you hear me okay? All right.
Yeah, better than Greg. Just kidding. Sorry, Greg.
Is that better?
Okay. Nice. Hey, yeah, I just thought I'd jump on here and pick your guys' brain on turkey hunting a little bit. I've never hunted turkeys until last year. I went out a couple times unsuccessfully with some buddies of mine. Yeah, we had one hen encounter, but we didn't really get out too much. It was our fall season is only until noon. You hunt sunrise till noon. So, yeah. So also I'd just like to kind of pick your brains about, big woods versus farmland, turkey hunting, different tactics, what do you guys think about that? Yeah, just curious.
Well, I started off hunting in the driftless area, which is more big woods than the area I'm currently in. And that area was subject to, turkeys, regardless if you have oak trees or a good thick area of pine trees, those are the trees that turkeys really like to roost in. So you find a nice patch of oak trees with really straight limbs, I would at least go scout it. Like right now is a good time to start scouting. Go up and look. If you find turkey feathers, you start to find turkey poop all over the place, and then the spots in the leaves that look like something raked the leaves away. Big round spots. That's turkeys digging around looking for leftover acorns and any kind of seeds and little greens that are starting to grow, and bugs and worms. So they that's like the dead giveaway if a turkey's using the area or not. So I think in big woods, you cover ground, you look for that type of sign.
So
Yeah, I think, finding the roost trees is obviously a little bit more challenging, but like Greg said, if you can find oaks that are just down off the top of any kind of ridge, in a hilly terrain, and Greg probably saw this if he was in the bluffs, those turkeys at night, they don't want to fly straight up to a roost. They'd love to get a running start off a ridge and then kind of fly almost parallel to the ridge top up into the branches of a tree. They're doing less work. And then when they pitch down in the morning, they can either pitch to the ridge or pitch to the bottom, whatever way they want to go. But if you find a group of oaks or some great big white pines or something like Greg said, that's just off that peak of the ridge where they can fly in real easy, check underneath there. You'll find big wing feathers and, turkey crap underneath if they're using it. But yeah, finding scratchings and where they're feeding, it's just like deer. They're not going to be everywhere in the big woods setting. They're going to have spots that they're feeding where their whatever food source they like is there. And just got to find that 5% of the 100% where they're at. And hopefully you can find that with ease, not struggle your way through it because it's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
I think doing what the THP guys do in the morning. Sorry about that, Calder.
No,
but
go
I
ahead.
think one tactic they do that I've not done before is they always go to high spot where they can hear real good in the morning. I feel like that would be really beneficial in the big woods is try to get to a peak where you can hear a couple different valleys. I don't really have that around where I'm at now, so I don't really do that. But I think that could work awesome.
Yeah, and where I'm hunting in the big woods, it's pretty thick timber. I mean, there are a lot of peaks and valleys, but it's so thick. I mean, I have the luxury of driving. I install flooring residentially, so I'm driving all over the place through, big woods. And so historically, I mean, do you really go by historical turkey data? I mean, I've marked waypoints where, I've been up in the Adirondacks working, I see a load of turkeys crossing the road and there's public nearby, and I've marked those waypoints. But is that historical, data pretty reliable, do you think?
I find it to be, no matter where you're turkey hunting, turkeys are pretty much creatures of habit. Once they find a good ridge that they like to bed on, with the prevailing winds to keep them out of the wind, and they have known food sources. So ag is not far away from the public. I was just going to mention that if you have ag not far away from public and it's a good place to see turkeys, if you go by there in the afternoon and the turkeys are there, they're coming from someplace to get there by the afternoon. If you go by there in the morning, early in the morning, just after, maybe 8 o'clock, and there's birds out and doing their dance out there, then you know that they probably got down from somewhere real close. So it's one of those things. Morning, like first light, you see birds out in the field. Chances are they're roosting very close to that field. Does that make sense?
Yeah, awesome. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just getting into it. I bought a couple, decoys, a couple different types just to maybe mess around with those. What are your thoughts on those? I mean, I've used last year. The guys I was with, we had one, but again, we didn't see very many birds. We heard we were calling to gobblers, but they were moving away from us, and we never had an encounter. But what are your thoughts on packing a decoy with you to get set up and when you're hearing gobbles, and then stick it up somewhere and back off of it, or what do you think? And
Yeah, I mean, you try to put it in a direction. In big woods, it's tough because they could circle around. There could be a down tree. They get hung up on that. Up here, they like to hang up on fence lines, so any little thing. But you got to be real convincing with your calling at that point. And at with a decoy and the thick stuff, it's just added insurance that, hey, yeah, there is something here because I can now see it. But if you sit and call and the birds keep gobbling, they're moving away, they're not coming. You might as well just stop calling and either try getting ahead of them and call, or try to flank them and call. You get as close as you can without getting busted. They've got awfully good eyesight, and it's pretty tough to do.
I think packing a decoy is definitely a good idea. Anything you can do, like if you don't have a decoy and you're calling to birds and they're excited, even if they're coming, they want to be there, they are still looking and like surveying that area, looking. And I feel like it just makes them look a little bit harder for movement when they don't already have a visual. So like any movement you make is just going to be more pronounced. They're going to notice it quicker. Whereas if you give them the visual, now they've got to focus, right? They're focused on that tom decoy, or they're focused on the hen, and it gives you a little bit more leeway to be able to move and maneuver for a shot. And I guess calling with decoys, or calling in general, is doing more than just the call. Like you see on a lot of you, like scratching in the leaves, beating shit. You can use anything to do it, but like in the morning, the fly down, like beating a piece of cardboard so it sounds like wings hitting stuff. So many guys are calling turkeys. I mean, especially if you got a later season, they've been called at and they've heard all the calls. So if you give them something extra, that sounds, like an animal living in the woods, walking in the leaves, scratching, I think that all is beneficial. And I think the biggest thing to help me in turkey hunting was just realizing that when you turkey hunt, you can kind of just be an opportunist. You don't have to be like a decoy and a field hunter. You don't have to sit and call. Like, you can do whatever you want. You can stalk and try to use the terrain to your advantage and get close and like try it all. Like just be, just hunt them. It's more fun that way, and you don't have to get tied to a spot, because as soon as you put decoys out or set up a blind, guys tend to just get married to that spot, and then you're sitting there, and then all of a sudden it turns into a deer hunt where you're just sitting and waiting. And that's not the fun part about turkey hunting. The fun part's just getting after them.
I think that's my hang up, is like, because I've only ever hunted deer, sort of the one time I went with you guys, like that's how I'm thinking about it. Like, oh, I'm going to set up in a spot, but I'm like, I don't even know what terrain features to look for, or if that's where I should even be starting, or if I find sign, well, I don't even know what it's telling me. Deer sign, I feel like I've been doing it long enough where I know what it means or how to interpret it to a level of like decent degree. You know, I'm still the okayest hunter, but I've also had enough success to know, like, ooh, this is fresh sign. Something's happening here. It wasn't here this time last week. I guess you could do a turkey. I just don't understand the animal as much as I think I understand a whitetail.
Right. Well, and
it just feels like, yeah, like it's like a whole new challenge. It's like a brand new thing. So it's just kind of like, maybe Calder sounds like you're in a similar spot as I am. Like, I don't know, where do you start? It's a turkey. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Weird.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was a little intimidating to even, I finally broke down and bought a shotgun. I bought a 20 gauge, and my appeal was the vocal aspect of turkey hunting. To be able to call and get a response, was really what got me kind of interested in it. And also, the fun of the chase and, the harvest that you get from it. So, similar to elk, I'm in New York State, so Pennsylvania has elk, but, it's a draw or however it works. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm going to be the okayest turkey hunter probably for, the next 20, 30 years, but I'm fine with that,
Good.
Welcome to the team.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Eric's gagging on a diaphragm call. There you go.
Not sounding really good, guys. I get really excited about the calls, as you may have seen. I bought every call I could get, because what happened when I started to buy a call, I was like,
one-man band, and then
I was getting served up ads for all the other calls. Like, oh, you might want a squirrel call, you might want a crow call. I'm like, I do want all of these things, because how fun is it to just conjure up nature sounds? And at this point, it was less about the turkey call, more about just having all of them. Because my kids, when I bust out a call, like each one of them has to have something. So like, my daughter will have the squirrel, my son will have the owl, my other kid will have the, turkey or the crow, or what. It's kind of fun. But someone, Alex Buchan, I can not say his last name, said locator calls are good for big ones too. I like, what's that?
Her last name.
Oh, my bad. Jesus. Well, yes. Well, Alex, thank you. Wow, I suck tonight. But yeah, like owl calls. I've already said this. Okay, just go easy on me, everybody.
Yeah, owl calls can do pretty good. Like
Crow
around
call.
here, crow call. Yeah, I think a crow call, like during the day, you're going to use a crow call. Evenings, early mornings, you can use an owl hoot. I mean, around here, that's what works. We never hear owls calling much during the day.
No,
It's
not
always
during
low light.
Yeah.
And Greg, I'd like to get your 2 cents on this, but like, you guys were talking about the challenge of turkey hunting and you don't know much about the animal. Man, they're a simple animal. They're not bright. Like what I've found is early season, especially, they almost have like a circuit. They got a route and they fly down, they do this, and then they hit this field and they hit this ridge, and they kind of do the same thing every day for a little while.
Out by me, they alternate. So one day they go west, the next day they go east, and the next day they go west, and then they'll be off, and maybe they'll repeat the day before.
And it'll change as it goes on, and all of a sudden the pattern will change. But it's not like hunting a mature buck like a deer, where that's like thinking, oh, and wind-based bedding, I'm going to bed here today because it's going to give me a better chance. Like, they're not really like that. If something spooks them out of the roost, they're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But the next day, they don't remember that. Like, they're not smart. And that's what's frustrating about turkey hunting, is they can kick your ass, and they're not that smart. And then it can be really hard to get them. Like, it can be really hard.
And Lucas just commented, I've used a car horn for a locator before. Did it by accident, but then it was a happy accident. I actually slammed the door on my work truck and had one thunder off when I pulled up to a job. It was kind of funny. But coyote calls too.
Like, you make a loud noise, like they're scared, and they just do that.
I mean, I've been out hunting in a thunderstorm. Thunderstorm rolled in, and every time whenever the thunder banged, the whole group was thundering off. It was nuts. It was
Yeah, they
crazy.
call it a shock gobble. So when
Yeah.
they're gobbling at a loud noise, it's not like a a mating thing. They just any loud sound. That's why in the morning, man, you hear a crow go off, you just stop and listen. Any seasoned turkey hunter, you hear a crow in the background, they'll just stop and listen because they'll gobble at it. Not that they think it's a turkey. Any loud noise, they pretty much just reaction gobble like, "Hey, I'm here."
So that's
Yeah, that all makes sense, and it sounds, I broke down and bought a crow call, and I've got a very okayest owl who, I listen to the Bear Grease podcast, so I'm getting some pointers there. But
Greg will give you some. He knows how to do a good owl call. He taught my daughter.
I'm not going to rip one off, but you go ahead, Greg.
Who cooks for you?
It's who cooks for you or something like that. Yeah,
Greg
that's all it
hates
is.
doing it on the
Anyway, so when I'm going on public land here, do you think like the best idea is just to look for some public, butt it up to some ag land, or like if I'm going on public big woods, should I just be going deeper back in to look for the birds that can't get out to that ag food source?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I would try to get as close to that egg, because especially if you're seeing birds in that egg, why not? Get as close as you can, and heck, you might be able to knock on that door of that landowner, and he might go, "Oh yeah, go right ahead. How many can you shoot?" You'd be surprised. Just go up there with good intentions, and knock at their door. Heck, you could pull up in your work truck, maybe even. I don't know. Working in the neighborhood.
You need new floors.
It's good. Also very good information that you're giving about knocking on doors. I go and do measurements, for people's floorings in their household. And, so I usually knock on the front door and back away and make sure they have a good view of me. And, cause you never know what kind of environment you're walking into or what kind of day they're having either. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and jump off here and listen to the rest of the conversation, but thanks for the,
all right.
And
thanks, Calder.
We'll go from here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck
talking
this
to you.
season, buddy.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Elliot said, "Scare a sandhill crane, and that'll get them going too." Like,
Oh,
Yes.
things are
those
weird.
cranes.
I actually have them screw things up for me. Usually, they'll come into my decoys. Is my first couple trips out. I usually set decoys in certain areas of the field where I know they're coming, and if the cranes land and they come right up and they start cackling, I'll have hens. If the hens come into the field and see them, they turn around and go the other way. So they usually don't like the cranes. I've not had good luck with cranes in the field when I'm trying to.
Those things that have come this season. They were like endangered, and now they are everywhere.
The problem is we are going to be battling with the National Crane Foundation and over that.
They are just dominating as a species by the. I mean, I don't know. They're talking about flocked up. Like, jeez.
Ribeye in the sky.
So, Gregory, what's your go-to decoy setup? Does it change throughout the season? Do you have the go-to?
My best luck, honestly, has been a pair of hens, one feeding and one upright. I've shot birds over the tom decoy, but I've had better luck with just a pair of hens. Probably within 20 yards, I've had hens come into them and bed down, like dust bathe and just lay down right by the decoys, especially when rain comes in over the top of them, they'll lay right down. And now you got all the live decoys you need in the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good point. If you bring the hens in.
Lucas just said, have you guys ever had a hen try and fight your decoys? So he's had.
I had one. So last year, funny you asked that question, and the year before, she came up to the decoy, fluffed her feathers, and like started to fan out, like, picked her back feathers up and everything at it, and like had kind of an aggressive purr. And then I just lightly called at it, a light yelp, and then she put her feathers down and then just carried on her merry way.
So you disarmed her?
Yeah, I just kind of calmed her down a little bit.
Should have let that go. Girl fight. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Matt set out a tom decoy, and that seemed to do the trick. These 3 birds came into it, and he's like, "I noticed it more. They would have had a field day. I didn't understand. I was like, well, they're gonna figure out the decoy and run off. He's like, no, they'll just keep going. I was like, what? Really, man? These birds are weird. They're just weird to me. I'm like really trying to wrap my head around these things. We do have another caller getting screened right now. Let's see who it is. Come on, computer system thing. Processing audio. Let's see, who do we got? It's local. It's a 262. Still not telling me. Oh, here we go. Mike, you're live on the show, Mike.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, thanks for calling in, buddy. How you doing?
How you doing? Good. I'm actually on my way to go do a radio show. So been listening in the car and just want to say hi and good luck turkey hunting. I was going to go off Greg's comment of the two hens. It depends for me on the time of the year and, from start to finish, but two hens is always good because if you have a tom that gets beat up, he doesn't want to come in for a confrontation. But there's other times when I've had a half strut Jake out and they ran right in and beat it up, and that puts on a heck of a show. So
Yes,
and for me, it always changes.
agreed. And last year,
yeah.
I actually shot my bird over a strutting Jake decoy, a DSD strutting Jake decoy. So he was the only bird to come in, and as soon as he busted through the weeds, I could hear him spit drumming and dragging his wing feathers through the field, and I laid the smackdown on him.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait. I got last year my 9-year-old daughter shot one at like 25 yards with a crossbow. I had to run it down, but she's all jacked up to go. And my 15-year-old shot one last year with my dad, different morning. But so the kids are all ready to go, and it's going to be an early spring. And I hope the ticks aren't bad here in Wisconsin.
They're bad. I already had
They are.
last
Yeah,
week.
I've picked one out of my leg and had another one crawling on me, and my buddy had him crawling on him. So
Start spraying the clothes with the permethrin.
yep, get a can of Sawyer's from Walmart.
All right. Well, good luck, guys. Maybe we'll hook up and do a little late season. Don't forget, in Wisconsin next week are the leftover tags.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks for the reminder.
I'll need that reminder from everybody.
I know. I'm going to be in Nashville for work, and I told my dad to already remind to call me on Tuesday. So,
Yeah, anyone who's listening, send a message to Eric.
all right, guys.
Hey,
Thanks,
for the
man.
call.
Have a good one, Mike.
Yep. Later.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, I love the strutting Jake decoy. I got the Jake. We talked about this, and I got the real fan on it, and it's kind of busted up. And I put that out, and then I just have a hen decoy. It's like not a feeding hen, but it's not like an alert one. It's just kind of like an upright-ish. And I just don't use the stake. And I sit her right on the ground in front of him, maybe like 6-10 feet. So it looks like he's maybe getting ready to breed her. And that has pissed off just about every tom who's come within eyesight of it.
I like it.
I like to, set up a little story, a little soap opera.
Yeah.
Ooh, the young lad, the juvenile, going for your girlfriend. Maybe an empty beer can out there like they've been drinking, about to make some mistakes. You paint the whole picture.
Oh, yeah. Have you guys ever done the reaping? Like, I know there's some controversy around it.
I've attempted it twice just because I couldn't get the birds to break off. I couldn't get this one gobbler in particular. I couldn't get him to break off of the two hens that were in front of him. For the life of me, I couldn't appease those hens to come my way. So I went off with my gobbler decoy. I don't think I could just get low enough. Like, that gobbler saw me walking to him, and he wanted nothing to do with it. He took off and ran and took the hens with him. So I've never had luck with it. I'm sure it's a trip.
I've not intentionally done it. I've unintentionally reaped one where I was walking through the woods with my decoy, and I spotted the turkey that I had heard, and he saw me. So then I did the old wiggle my decoy around, and he strutted. And when he got behind a tree, I stuck it in the ground and rested my gun barrel over it, and then he just came in and I shot it.
Yeah, I've heard there's videos on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all these places where you just wave something red and they come running right up to you, depending on the time of the year. I think last year some pals had shared some videos of turkeys just running up man, if it were season, I'd shoot you. But for now, I'm having a little bit of fun. It's kind of fun to see them doing that kind of stuff. That's the part of me where I think they're pretty dumb, but also they're obviously pretty smart.
Time of season and time of day makes a big difference, at least for me. Like they're always interested in the hens in the morning, but 9:30, 10 o'clock when the toms kind of break off because they haven't been able to get a piece from the girls, they're way more receptive to calls and decoys in my eyes around 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I think Matt Strime with Weathered Oaks, and he's on the Okayest Fisher. By the way, if you need a call, go to Weathered Oaks and see what they got. He just put out a new call that's like pretty awesome, weatherproof, double-sided, all this and that. We're gonna have a couple at the trade show, 6 to be exact, and they're numbered 1 through 6. So they're gonna. It's the logo that is on Derek's shirt. Can't eat the beard is gonna be on the call. So co-branded thing. We're gonna do collaboration. I imagine they'll sell quick because there's only 6 of them.
Yeah, he was just at like a little sporting goods yard sale thing somewhere up by him, and he did quite well. People see his calls, they play him, and they do sound awesome, and he stands behind his work.
Yeah, they're
But
great. Double-sided call is freaking awesome. I love that thing.
that one's
That thing
loud.
barks.
He was on the podcast last. He'll be on here again in April. I think we're gonna bring him in the studio. But he said last year on the podcast, like, this is common knowledge now, I think, but because I heard him say it, it's unnatural for a tom to go to the female because they're like a peacock. They have all these bright, shiny, attractive feathers to bring in the females, not the other way around. So I guess from a calling standpoint, you do have to be pretty seductive to them to get them to, no, you come to me. I'm the tom. You come here. I'm not coming to you. And then you play hard to get. He goes, all right, I'll come a little closer. All right, I'll come. Like, super interesting. So it's interesting that like other male birds, like a Jake, would get them to come in because they're like, F that guy. You can't have my girl. I'm going to come into that. That makes sense to me. Versus doing hen calls and expecting a tom to come over to it. He's like, I hear you, but you're coming to me, right? That's what they want you to do, or that's what they want the hen to do, because that's probably how it normally works.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm just going off what I've heard.
Yeah, it's funny when there's like a subordinate bird or a non-dominant bird that sees the decoy first and starts coming too, because then those that tom all of a sudden starts hustling real quick to come when another bird is on its way. They'll run in front of them. It's like a little track athlete,
That's exactly what happened the year before last. I had 2 Jakes come in, and like they hustled, made it through the fence line. They looked, they saw the 2 hen decoys, and all right, party time. And like right behind them, like I saw the bigger fella, and he's the one that got whacked. And the other two turned and they were like, "Oh, should we kick his ass?" And I, 6 foot tall guy stands up out of the grass. Probably not. Probably shouldn't.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Oh
They were
shit.
thinking about it though.
They were thinking about it. But they didn't.
I just can't help but not play that scene from Office Space every.
It is pretty cool to be able to kill one right at your feet like that, though. I mean, that thing was maybe 5 yards away, and the other 2 were right there.
I know the shot I took last year with your gun. I mean, I didn't waste any time, and it was like
it might have been a 25 or a 30-yard poke. It wasn't super far.
It felt close, but yeah. I think you're right.
And for anybody who's just starting turkey hunting, close shots kind of suck because think about your pattern. Like your pattern is tight.
You almost got to be right on or right next to it.
Be right on, but at 30 is like pretty prime. 30, 35, because your patterns, depending on your bullet, but you got a little bit more room to work with. So just remember, close is not always better.
No, not always. And that's where it pays too to take and shoot your gun. Shoot your gun with different chokes. If you really like your ammo, then you got to hunt down a choke that's going to work with it. Or you buy one really good choke and then you spend the time and find what box of ammo works the best. I got probably about a mid-grade choke, mid to high-end choke for that 12 gauge, and like not the very cheapest ammo, but maybe like the second cheapest. The mid-tier ammo works great with it. Where I've tried like the mix of tungsten and lead, those shells didn't shoot well out of it. And smaller shot too. Smaller shot actually shot better out of it. I always shot number 4s. I went down to 5s. If you can find 6s, 6s can be hard to come by because guys buy them up right away. Those tend to pattern really nice, especially out of a 12 and a 20 gauge. But you got to find a choke that works with your gun too.
Hey, Noah, you're live on the show. How's it going, buddy?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Good, man.
Yeah, just want to chime in with the calling. I'm pretty new to turkey hunting myself, but from what kind of got this little, I guess you'd call it a little seminar on turkey calling at a trip. And I kind of got I'm not sure I want to phrase the tip that sometimes it's you actually want to call to the hens. Like, I guess hens are also very territorial when it comes to their toms.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get a hen riled up and pissed that like you're a hen, she'll actually come over looking for a fight, and that'll bring the toms with them.
50-50 chance. Sometimes they're the only ones in the area and the tom's not there at all. Depends on how close you are to their roost tree too. Like I've had it where I see the same hens 3 days in a row. It's the same 2 or same 3 with no tom in tow. Never hear them, and you hear them gobbling off in another field on another piece of property. 2 properties away. They just decided to get down and go that way because maybe there were more hens over there. And
I feel like your idea. Get off my man. That's
Yeah.
my man. Yeah, it's interesting.
And I don't know the biology of it at all, but I feel like there's like dominant hens or like the leaders of the hens also. And if you mimic, like if they're calling to you and they're getting a little bit heated, like maybe they're not coming in yet, but you just mimic whatever she does, you do, that tends to work pretty good at getting them like fired up and coming in. But at the same time, man, sometimes those dominant hens, especially like right away in the morning off the roost, sometimes I'm just even afraid to call because sometimes the dominant hen will just be like, nope, these are my toms and I'm taking them this way because they hear you calling and they just go straight away. And the toms, you can even hear them like turn and face you because they're interested and they'll gobble. And then, I mean, they'll just wrap around them and pull them off. So you just never know. Like it depends what kind of hens they're with, I guess. If there is a dominant hen, I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm saying it's a thing.
It's a thing. Like last year, I had one that had a beard. It was a bearded hen, and that one, I've seen it around 2 years in a row. So it's managed to survive coyotes and every other bird of prey that's chased it. Who knows if I'll see it this year? And then there was another one with it that was real tall hen. It almost looked like a jake. It was so big.
Yeah, turkeys they're weird animals. Is all
Yes,
I can
they
say.
are. Yeah,
They're fun
Noah
to chase,
and
though.
Calder are on my. So like we're flocking up. Me, Noah, and Calder are flocking up as like turkeys are weird. Not really sure what to think about this yet. I'm interested. I killed one. Okay, eating it. This is nice. All right, I'm gonna do it again. Here's the thing. Yeah, I do all this stuff, all this content, and we have a podcast, and most of the time we talk about deer hunting. But oftentimes it's like, oh, it's more about the hunt or more about the kill. It's more about like, being immersed in nature. And I gotta say, deer hunting, you're out in the fall, and in the winter. Turkey being out, like if you watch the YouTube video we put out, you can hear the sounds of spring. Like watching that now made me feel like I was gonna hit a dopamine. Hearing
Dude,
those birds in the morning.
it was such an awesome morning because we
It's a
heard
really
3
cool time
different
to be
groups.
out.
Yeah, we heard 3 or 4 different groups of turkeys thundering
But not
off.
just the turkeys. I'm talking about like the songbirds and just being out in the spring. Like it just was a different time to be in nature in a different way. So like I think it's kind of cool to have these polars of like deer hunting, fall, turkey, spring. I know you can do fall turkey too or whatever. You can always kill one if you got a tag or whatever.
It's not the same.
They're right. It wouldn't be the same. And I think that's kind of a special thing. And that's what was probably most attractive to me if I'm thinking about it. The kill was sure that's the kill. It was exciting. It didn't get exciting for me until like the last 10 feet of them coming into that 25-yard range. Before that, I was like, no, whatever. I got kind of excited when I heard them gobbling, but then it took them like an hour to get over there. I was like, well, okay, now the gobbling's getting annoying. Just get your asses over here already. And then we made visual, and I was like, oh, cool, they're here. Are they going to come into the thing? Okay, they're making their way. Then they started running. I was like, oh, shit, here we go. And then, boom, then I got the adrenaline. But the cool morning and just hanging out there and, being out in the woods that way, I thought that was kind of nice.
The other thing that is really cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, I think the thing I like most about turkey hunting, it's like you actually get to interact with the bird. It's something you can't do with deer, really, in the way I see it. And it's like between using decoys to get them in, the calling, having them respond to it.
Yeah, deer hunting is very ambush style. And turkey hunting, like
Yeah.
Derek said, you can just go about it however you want.
Yeah,
And
there's no wrong way.
I guarantee if I go out and do it however I want, I'll make a lot of mistakes. Like it's gonna get really weird out there. I'll probably, hear a turkey call and that'll end up being another hunter. Like, oh hey, sorry about that. I thought you were a real bird. Turns you're just a regular dude. My bad.
That's the other part that can be really cool though, is like I know there's people who do like turkey camp, and all the buddies, you try to apply for the same week, or you get an extra tag for the 5th week, and all the guys get together and like team up. Like it's almost like kind of like the waterfall hunting thing. Deer hunting is such a solitary thing. Even if you're at camp, everybody goes their own way. Turkey hunting, like you guys, you can do what Eric did last year. He had like 4 guys out there, 5 guys. Like you call, go sit over there. Like you scheme, you plot, and it's like just more laid back. You mess up on a turkey, it hurts, but it's at the end of the day, it's a turkey.
The laid
I
back
a lot
nature.
harder on myself when I mess up on a big buck or something. Then I'm like, oh, my world is crashing down on me. But a turkey,
And yeah, you can mess up on a turkey. You can literally be at the same spot the next day, and that same turkey will be right back out there.
Yeah, at that point, it's more like fishing. Like that bass doesn't come back to that spawning bed. I'll get him tomorrow or later today. Cool. Noah, thanks for the call, buddy.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
yeah, good luck this spring.
Hell
Yeah, man. Shoot straight.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh shit! I hit the button too soon. God, I suck.
You're the worst.
Shoot at 30 yards, not at 10. That's my lesson here. But I remember like going out and Greg's like, shoot at the head, and I was like, oh, are you joking? He's like, no, I'm serious. Shoot at the head. You don't want to ruin the meat. I was like, oh, and then had Greg not have told me that, I would have shot for like the heart. I didn't. These are just like, if you don't know, you don't know.
I'll
And
tell
so-
you, you
really
shoot
get
one, you
or
shoot
eventually-
one in the chest, and you're gonna probably have to take another shot at it and then kill it, because that's a pretty massive area. There's a lot of feathers that can help deflect some of that shot. Now, I'm sure TSS probably does a little bit better job. The tungsten stuff, it'll probably penetrate a little better. It's got a little more hitting power, but
Don't do that.
don't do it.
Just shoot at the head.
When you go to clean that bird, you cut it open to take the meat out, or if you're going to pluck it, you're going to have feathers and BBs. The BBs take the feathers with and carry it right into the meat. So not only do you have it bloodshot with a chunk of lead in it,
Oh
you got
yeah.
chunks of feathers and skin in it. It's all bruised up and it looks like hell, and it's pretty much not usable. So you always aim for the head. And you'll get a few stray ones that travel a little south and hit them a little bit lower in the neck and in the front of the breast meat, and that happens.
You ever do one of those guillotine arrows?
No.
Roger.
Every time I've carried my bow out to a turkey to hunt turkeys, they're always other side of the field. I'm in the wrong spot. I don't have a lot of time to go chase them down, so I don't even mess around and just take the shotgun and get it done and over with.
I've shot 2 with my bow, but both have just been with normal expandables.
In the head?
It's fine.
Nope, in the body.
No,
Okay.
body shots are much easier. I mean, they got to be real close then.
With a bow and arrow. So this is different now. Now we're talking.
You can shoot them in the body, but it's everybody tries to shoot for the head. It's a lower percentage kill shot just because of the smaller target.
What's I was saying? Those guillotine broadheads, dude, some of them are really large. Like you could use as a fucking boat propeller. Like it's like holy shit.
But you look at what that does in flight too. You gotta tweak around and try to get them to fly right. If they don't fly straight, there's no point in going out there with it.
That's true. Yeah, and a turkey head's a pretty mobile target. You know, crazy. I don't know. This has been an interesting conversation, one that I appreciated.
Shotgun gives you much higher odds.
Yeah. What kind of shot? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of brands out there. I imagine get whatever you're
Go scoop
comfortable
up
with.
a used 870. I mean, you can find them cheap enough. Go look at a consignment shop or go up to like there's a gun shop up in Lomira, Midwest Shooter Supply. They got a huge selection of stuff.
Yeah. That's the one with the big deer out in the front, right? Off of the freeway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been there before. Hard not to stop.
Yeah, it's a neat shop, and they've got a range inside too.
Derek, you're going on a hog hunt. What's up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shooting my bow last night. Me and Gus were out there practicing. I started warming back up and getting the bow tuned up. I got some arrows at Whale Tails right now. They're fletching for me. We're me and a gentleman I met at the archery shoots. Joe and I met at the BHA State Rendezvous 2 years ago, and then he came to Foam Fest.
Cool.
You guys have all met him. Him and Mike were there, and he invited me to go down to his buddy's place in Texas and whack some wild hogs and maybe even a female aoudad. So we're going down the end of March. We're going to go shoot as many hogs as we can with our bow. So I got to be careful. I got 12 new arrows that were quite costly. See if I can come back with half of them. I don't know.
Come back with some busted ones, missing a few.
I got some arrows here at the house you could have. Might have to cut them or something, but I got some arrows.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. We're going to bring a whole bunch of different stuff. There's blinds down there that I guess the guy has, but we're going to bring our tree saddles and try shooting one out of the saddle.
That'd be cool.
We'll see what happens. We're going to bring the video cameras. So.
Saddle hog wild, man. That'll be shooting a hog from a saddle. That's kind of interesting.
Give it a try.
You're a really big saddle fan, so. I was telling Corey with Latitude, I think yesterday, I was like, we converted Derek. That's a pretty big feat. Kudos. I mean, because Derek was a bit of a naysayer, and then he kind of turned his tune a little bit, but. Those guys.
Then it bit him in the ass.
And it bit me in the ass. Tell Corey that 2-panel might change my mind.
It will. They got some cool stuff coming out soon. Stay tuned for what those guys have coming. I mean, they're so damn put together over there. It's just ridiculous how they're just firing on all cylinders across product dev, innovation, design, marketing, the whole gambit. They're just doing a great job. Really enthused with what those guys have going on. It's good stuff. I know Spartan Forge. Speaking of the part, I didn't do a good job in the beginning because I just got all weird when I said something about spreading us apart. And I was like, then I didn't know what to say after that. They got their Cyber Scout thing that's kind of coming to market, where it's basically like Chat GPT, but not. It's like that, but Bill trained it for 4 years. Over the last 4 years on like how to interpret and understand hunting knowledge. So he's gotten it like answering questions like how to build your arrow setup for proper FOC, or how to build it for hunting hogs versus elk versus whitetail, or how to build an AR-15, or how to make a compass out of fucking batteries and other weird shit that ChatGPT just wouldn't have a concept how to answer. It wouldn't know what to do with it. So I think that'll be interesting when that comes out to answer some of these types of questions. Like, I don't know, how do I find a turkey? I'd be curious to see what it has to say. But this podcast would probably have some good answers. So maybe it'll tell it to listen to Okayest.
You got nothing on Time in the Woods, buddy.
Well, that's 100% true. You're never going to replace that. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't even try to. But you can learn something here and there. And if you can like consolidate information, that's always nice too.
Speaking of Spartan Forge, though, one of my good buddies that I talk hunting with all the time, Corey, he went out, I'm not going to say where, but he went to an area, some big hill country bluff stuff.
Yep.
He was doing some scouting, and he was sending me screenshots of some of the LiDAR stuff of where he was walking. And that LiDAR imagery, you could see where they had like, the old logging trails that were just slightly flatter than the rest of the terrain. From way up, you could see these paths all over. It was pretty freaking incredible. Like, a lot of our stuff is, a little bit flatter, which the LiDAR can show you those little bumps, but seeing it in like some real terrain was like, holy shit, this is wild.
Guys, so also, I'm not sure what happened last season. We were trying to use a Blue Force tracker in an area over by Greg and Lake Mills. And I think it just didn't like update fast enough for us. If you go into Spartan Forge right now and you if you click on the BFT icon on the bottom left and you look at the area we highlighted over by Greg, I see every one of your pins now. What's in the shared zone.
It finally shared. It finally updated.
What?
and shared
So
them.
many effing pins in here. I'm like, what the shit? Where did this come from? I can see your photos. I can see everything. I can see all the stuff.
Say
Because-
goodbye, Greg. Say goodbye to all your
Say
spots.
goodbye to that spot. That's okay.
Quick,
There's
get
been
them
at
on
least
YouTube.
20
But
other people in there anyway, so there's
Post it
no
on
secret about
TikTok.
that. Yeah.
But listen, it's only viewable to us three because we put a geofence around the area amongst ourselves, which
But
is kind
Eric-
of cool.
Because you have access to it, it's going to be for everybody. I'm just joking.
Exactly.
I'm not that
Just
guy.
all-
I'm not-
Goodbye.
but it's pretty cool. I'm like, oh, now I can see all this
I had to
stuff. Like,
find another place to hunt. It was time to find.
I
another
already
place
know
to
all
hunt.
your stuff out there
No.
anyway. Yeah. It's not like you're doing anything extra special out there, you know.
No.
Snooping and
There's
pooping
nothing.
like always.
You just get out and you put your time in. There's nothing special about that.
But it is kind of neat to see we could collectively tackle a property, you know.
Mhm.
Like, hey, I'll hit the northeast corner, you hit the southwest corner, I'll hit the middle of the property, and like
And that's
we
probably
can-
what we're going to end up doing this year. Is we're between the
Kinda
three
neat.
of us, we try to hunt close together. I know it's tough for Derek. It's for me. It's passing through on the way home, so I can do it. But for Derek, it might be a bit harder.
Are you guys talking turkey? You talking deer? What are you talking about?
I'm talking deer now, man. Turkeys.
We're on to deer.
I'm
Tur-
thinking
tur-
this
turkeys
season.
and the taillights, man.
What if we the three of us decide on a centrally located public land property that maybe I'm assuming one of us will have been to something because there's a lot of it around here we know, but maybe none of us has been to it or only one of us has been to it like once or something, and we could break it down and try to hunt it. And there's probably gonna be other pressure there because like
There's
of course,
always other pressure there. It's
you're
public.
not going to go anywhere there isn't, but that may be kind of fun activity for us to try to do this year. Like, hey, the Okayest Hunter Crew is going to try out a new property, and we're going to collectively try to see who can win.
We're going
and
to
not
collectively
like,
screw it
you know,
up.
Yeah, collectively screwed up, or like, hey, if we all do a bunch of good scouting, like maybe Derek pulls out a nice buck, or maybe Greg does, or maybe Eric does. Like, it'll be a win for the team if one of us does.
That guy.
If anybody can get into a tree in an afternoon hunt, that would be a win.
I got pretty efficient last year. I remember you guys told me to get down and move closer, and I did. I regretted that.
No, dude, you got a system you like now, and you're firing on all cylinders. You know what you need to do, and you're doing it, and you're doing
That's
it
a lot of it. Is
quietly and
getting comfortable with the tools you have, whether it's a stand and sticks or your saddle and sticks and platform or whatever it is. You put the time in, you get much more efficient with it. And if you got the ability to practice with it in your backyard on a tree,
which I do.
I'd say go for it.
Yeah, which I do. The name of the get you funny. I don't care.
So many of the tactics and stuff that you read about and you see and setting up close to bedding, so much of that has to do with like how you personally operate. Like if you know you're not like great at being quiet and your shit's not all set up, don't try to set up too freaking close or you're going to be your own worst enemy. Like, you got to think about
don't
what
go in there with the brand new stand and sticks that haven't been stripped out, stealth stripped or paracorded or whatever.
If you haven't put your shit on a tree at least 100 times, you're probably going to be pretty loud and clumsy with it. Like some shit's going to happen and that's okay, but just know that.
Like you're going to yourself, fuck, I was trying to be quiet. No, I'm not. And you just know you're like, you like, I don't know. The year I got my big guy here, I was making just a shit show out of getting in this tree in the morning. And I was like,
but where you were, it was acceptable. Yeah, where you were. No, but where you were was acceptable. That noise was acceptable because there were houses not far away.
Yeah, maybe, but nonetheless,
and deer weren't bedded there.
I was like, God, man, I'm just, there's no way. And then sure shit, I heard grunting. I was like, whoa, what's happening here? I was like, this is actually going to happen. Oh my God. And now anytime I hear grunting, I start to just, dude, you want to talk about getting me excited? Forget a turkey gobble. Give me a grunt. That'll do it. But if you're hunting out west, a lot of guys like to hear that elk bugle, and I think that would probably trump all of it. So, anywho, well, thanks, gentlemen, for virtually doing this tonight and staying the heck away from me with my stomach book. So far, I've not drunk a lot of bourbon.
Says it all right there.
Not feeling great, actually. So, just kind of
maybe don't finish that.
I don't think that's going to happen. No.
You're making cottage cheese right now, huh?
Oh God. It just sounded like someone was peeing. It was not good.
I shouldn't have eaten that whole carton of ice cream.
Yeah, pile some dairy in there on top of that scotch.
Oh yeah, yeah. Make a little cottage cheese right where you're at it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I will end the recording here and then end it there. And everybody that tuned in and called in and commented in, thanks a bunch. We'll be back next week. I know I sent you guys. We had a guest. This is how bad I was the other day. I was like, "Do we have a guest tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's so and so." And I was like, "Wait a second, that's for the 26th." So no, we don't. I don't know if you guys caught that or not until I.
So there's no guest next week either.
I don't think so. But did you guys catch my error when I sent it? When I said, yes, tomorrow we have a guest and it's so and so. But then, like, you look at the calendar, like, wait, no.
Yeah, because I remember thinking, well, that's good because you have a guest while Greg is in Florida and I'm in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the 19th, no guest. The 26th and the 2nd of April, we do. So nothing next week. Are you around next week, the 19th, Eric, or no?
I'll be able to podcast. I don't know if my wife's going to be able to pick up the kids. I got to double check.
So you might be virtual, you might be in person, but you'll be around.
I can do virtual. I could get away with virtual.
All right. Well, then we'll do this again, same time next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Adios.